Hi. Um, Maybe you're kind of discombobulated like me since we turned the clocks back today on Sunday. I guess it's the 3rd. Yeah, the 3rd of November. I'm sure you've seen the news about Peanut, the squirrel. And he pissed me off. And it reminded me of a video I saw recently about a defector from the Soviet Union who came to the United States. The video was from 1984, if I'm not mistaken. Yuri Brezhnov. Sorry if I butchered his name. But he warned us that most of what the KGB did during the times of communism was in the area of psychological warfare, what they called active measures, in the language of the KGB, according to Yuri. And, he said something that most people wouldn't realize what had happened, and that they had capitulated to communism until, a military boot, kicked them in the face, something like that, paraphrased. And I think that's what happened here with Peanut, the squirrel. So did you guys have you seen the film Full Metal Jacket? So I thought it was interesting that Private Joker, of all things, he was a journalist, and that wasn't a random thing. He was a journalist. Kubrick, was a genius, and he did this on purpose. And the scene that stands out for me is the most relevant to this was when I think they were in the Marine not the barracks, the Marine base. Maybe it was Nha Trang, or it might have been Nha Trang in Vietnam, if I'm not mistaken. And the captain, the Marine captain that was the head of the military magazine, or newspaper, I should say, he said basically we run two types of stories. Soldiers, getting the kill, winning the war, achieving the mission, and winning hearts and minds. Those who give away their paycheck to help the poor and whatnot. So I noticed that in American culture, a lot of time in films, there's always a feel-good moment, and not always, often there's a feel-good moment in action films where, they save the dog, or they save, an animal, or, they save a kid, which of course would be the most important thing you could save, an innocent child. But I noticed that this story, it reminded me what Yuri Brezhnov said about ideological subversion or active measures in the language of the KGB, as he explained so eloquently. And I'll post it below, the link to his 1994 interview about this topic. So I'm thinking what Kubrick put in his film Full Metal Jacket, the fact that Joker was a journalist, that was interesting. Like, that was definitely not random. And also taking what Yuri said, this story in this whole process, it definitely is a psyop. And not only is it a psyop, but it's a deliberate type of psyop. I believe this is a demoralization piece. So if you just invert what was said in the film, we run two types of stories: winning the war and winning hearts and minds. So this is the opposite. This is an inversion of winning hearts and minds. This is to demoralize the population right before the election. I mean, today is the 3rd, so we're coming up to a major election event. And the killing of an innocent animal, and not just an innocent animal. Right? Look, I'm not a vegetarian, okay, but in this was an innocent animal that was doing tricks, entertaining people. That's fine. That's great. It's not a death. Doesn't deserve a death sentence for that. And of course, the owners. I mean, they must be devastated. Obviously, they are. They've done interviews. So, I think this is definitely a psyop, and there's a reason why it's in 100 different news sources is because this is a demoralization piece, and we're going to see a lot more ramping up of psychological warfare operations as we go into 2025. And as Yuri Brezhnov said in his interview, 15% of the KGB's budget it was spent on espionage, like he said, James Bond type of stuff. 85% though of the budget and manpower resources are used for psychological warfare or for a very slow process called demoralization, which takes 30, 40 years, because you have to completely subvert an entire generation, or in this case multiple generations of people. So I think that's what we're looking at here. I think we're looking at a form of psychological warfare which is the opposite of a hearts and minds piece. This is a subversion piece. This is a psychological subversion piece, to bring the population of our great nation into a level of fear. You can have your door kicked in anytime for any reason. And this being any reason, this is obviously an example of any reason. And it's for your safety, right? We're gonna kill your pet and cut open its brain, okay, to check for rabies, for your safety. But hey, we have the First Amendment here in the United States, so I'm expressing my opinion. And we have the Second Amendment in the United States, which protects the First Amendment. So as this ramps up, and if there are more subversion or operations like this, or psychological operations like this, I think we're going to see some very interesting fallout. I hope it doesn't happen. But this was in New York. This wasn't in Alabama. This wasn't in Texas. So, as these psychopaths continue their pursuit against, human innocence and, the capacity for human joy and compassion for our other fellow human beings, as we come together, they're, of course, divide and conquer. They want us fighting each other, just like in that film They Live. They want two people fighting each other. They don't want both of them to put on the glasses and see what's really going on. One of them could see in the film, but the other one didn't want to. So they fought until vision was achieved for both. And that's really what psychopathy fears most, is that if we all put on our reality glasses and see what's really going on with the psychopathy, which has been infiltrated our world since the time of Babylon. So we'll see how this goes, but it's good to know what's going on, and knowledge is important, right? What did Doctor Strange say in the Doctor Strange film, or who said it? I forget who said it. There is no forbidden knowledge. There are only forbidden practices, right? So we need to know. We need to have this knowledge to see what's really going on. And this is a psyop. This is a demoralization piece. That's probably in 200 media sources. Last time I checked on Google, just on the algorithm, just what they were posting. Could be more, could be less. So, for many people, until that military boot comes over and steals something you love and kills something you love, that's when people will wake up, according to Yuri. So, That's a warning well respected, at least by me, and well received. So let's share love, compassion, kindness for our fellow human beings. Let's treat each other with respect. But you're not coming in my fucking house and taking my pet, right? So there's a line we have to have as responsible human beings, as responsible Americans. And best thing we do is support each other, show compassion for everyone that you interact with. But at the same time, you cannot allow anyone to cross that red line. So, yeah. What do you think about this? Happy Sunday, and happy the beginning of November, and happy change of clocks, even though we'll get into that in another video. That's another psyop. But yeah, have a great day, and love and respect. Cheers.